Are we live? Hello, everyone. We're going to be streaming the games. We're going to be streaming and analyzing the games of Alan. He played 3 games, so we're going to look at those. So we're waiting on Keed.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. So, as you may have known, yesterday Alan participated in one of our tournaments in ICA and the quad, and he played 3 games. Now, I have to say it's very interesting 3 games, and we definitely have something to say about it. All right, so I'm Brian, and behind me is Adam.
We need to go over.
All right, let me go here. All right. The thing is Alan, if you can hear us, can you just say something in the chat so we know you exist? I guess not. Okay. Do we can watch ourselves? Yeah, we are live. We're on YouTube. We do have one viewer. I think that one viewer is Alan himself.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with game 1. All right. So,
we can do Control B. Wait.
Control B.
Yeah, I want to remove the bookmarks. Oh, okay, whatever. Just go on.
What, the bookmarks?
Yeah.
They won't see that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not gonna see that. Yeah. It's because you're just sharing the tab.
All right.
See, that's what they look like.
Okay.
So, the thing is, is Alan here yet? Let me
call him. Make sure.
Let me call Alan to make sure he is existing.
All right, answer.
Hello?
Yeah.
Are you here?
I'm watching the stream.
Can you see us? Can you say something in chat? As a test?
Okay. I don't think I can.
We can't read any chat?
No, then we can't talk with you. It's fine. All right, if it doesn't work, then tough.
All right, I see you're live. Keep going.
There's 2 other people watching. Now there's 3 people watching.
Okay, so anyways, that being said, all right, so let's take a look at games that Alan played. So this is game 1, and his opponent is Jack playing white against Alan playing black. So the game started D4. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. Finish it.
All right. So white plays D4, C6, C4, D5, knight C3, all standard. Knight F6, E3, bishop F5, C takes D5, C takes D5. All right, bishop D3. I mean, over here I'm thinking queen B3, but okay. Bishop D3, bishop G6, knight F3, knight C6, castles. All right, this is all standard theory from here. So
okay, so yeah, this part is fine, but just want to point a few things. So Jack here played E3. Now this is theory, but C takes D5 is not the move here. All right, so if you wanted to play E3, the usual idea is to go something like knight F3 and just bishop E2. You want to keep the tension in the center. You don't want to trade the C4 with the D5 pawn. Because essentially what's happening is, if you're taking on D5, you're essentially trading your C4 pawn for the C6 pawn, which means that you're losing space, right? Because usually the knight can go to C3, but the black knight cannot go to C6, right? So after the straight, you're kind of giving black space. But anyways, bishop D3, and Adam, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, of course. Right, so, I was going to say that basically don't let him play knight C6, but you already said it.
Yeah, definitely. Knight C6 could definitely be a nice resource for black.
Wait, am I showing in the camera? Let me see.
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
Alan time. Okay, Alan does exist. Good for him. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Bishop G6. Okay, not a terrible move. Knight F3, Knight C6, castle. So rook E1, E4. I don't like this combination, but at least it's a plan. It's a bad plan. It's better than no plan at all. But after E4, Alan, you can just simply take the pawn, and after knight takes, just trade everything off, and you will leave your opponent with a big, fat, isolated pawn. Right, which then you can put your bishop there, castle, queen there, blockade it, and just aim it towards D4 pawn.
Yeah, let's add something. So the IQP, the isolated queen pawn, is something you generally do not want. It looks like a centralized pawn, but it's a liability throughout the game, so that's something you don't want.
Yes, definitely. So it looks like a center pawn, but it lacks protection, and it could definitely be a huge weakness in the future. But all right, Alan, so what you did is pretty interesting. You castled, which after your opponent immediately took advantage of and played E5. So now, without your knight on f6, your king side could become potentially a problem. It's not visible now, but as you may have seen later in the game, your king side was pretty weak without knight on f6. Right. So again, here you should definitely play the move d takes c4, give your opponent a nice isolated queen pawn, and you should have a much better position and possibly an easier game to play. Okay, so castle e5, knight d7, bishop knight e2 actually. I actually like this move knight e2 a lot because it kind of signifies that white is trying to attack on the king side. So like that. So knight e2, queen b6, and takes, h4. So a few things, right? Since your opponent is attacking the king side, generally you don't want to sit and wait. So you can play moves like rook c8, knight b4, and trying to create some problems on the queen side. There is a pretty well-known plan. It's going to be queen a6, knight b4, knight d3, just taking advantage of the light scores. But again, the idea is you want to either attack on the queen side or play f6, counter the center.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Usually f6. And I'm looking at h4 from white's perspective. I think h4 is weaker because the pawn is on g6, right?
Yeah, sort of. But here's the thing, Adam. So usually h takes g6 is the problem is if white can get his queen to h4,
yeah,
knight on g5, black is super screwed. But it's kind of hard to do that, especially after this move knight e2.
Yeah.
But h4 does have its purpose. I remember there's a famous game some time ago between Magnus and some Chinese player, and Magnus had the idea of h4, g3, king g2, rook h1, and just blasting the h file open.
Yeah, but that idea, like it happens in the advanced French. We actually sacrifice that even while we're castled. But the thing is, usually, I think it's because there's no pawn on g6 though.
Yeah, sort of. But again, but here's the thing, Alan. In such positions, I highly recommend you playing the move f takes g6. It looks ridiculous, it looks stupid, but in this case, it is pretty, has some problems, especially on knight f4. But the idea of f takes g6 is it protects your king so well that your king is really safe for the rest of the game. You play rook c8 and knight f8. Perfect serve for your knight, cover all these weaknesses, and there's really no way for your opponent to attack the king side. But however, here, after knight f4, your position could become, some problems with the e6 pawn. But always good to remember the idea of f takes on g6, which gives your position some defense mobility.
Yeah, I want to add a side note, right? A lot of these positions where you have f takes or h takes on g6 like that, or you have the bishop there on g6, it's very situational. Don't just look at one game and oh, I was supposed to take with the f pawn. In every situation, it's very situational. It's like a 50-50. So don't get fixated on one way of taking back the bishop on g6.
Yeah, a very good point that Adam brings up is really, I mentioned h takes g6, f takes g6, but Adam, you're absolutely right. It definitely depends on the specific situation, and with that being said, it really, in this case, usually structurally f takes g6 is a move, but after knight f4, your position is just simply terrible.
Yeah.
So again, you probably made the decision, but just keep in mind that if the h file do get open someday, you will be in trouble.
Yeah.
So make sure you get the counterplay in time. Okay, so rook c8, nice. Knight f4, and then bishop h4. So, well, rook c8 is a very natural move, but it's generally better to use your other rook to go to c8. So, the way that a player positions his rooks can tell you a lot about his attacking direction or attacking which side is he attacking on. If he puts both rooks on the queen side, it's self-explanatory. He will be attacking on the queen side, but also you're kind of hitting a escape route for your king. It's not that obvious, but trust me, in these desperate situations, your king can run, right? So rook c8, again, not a terrible move, but I definitely prefer rook fc8 if you're committing to attack on the queen side. Leave rook on a8, it will be helpful, all right? So rooks, again, not a terrible move, but it's a good habit to use the other rook. Knight f4, bishop h4. So, Adam, do you want to talk about this move?
Bishop h4, I'm trying to look at it. All right, so takes and then pawn g5, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what happened, yeah.
This happened in the game?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Adam, wouldn't you agree that this is a bit too fancy for
I
black?
wouldn't take the bishop because it's a bad bishop. It looks like a bad bishop.
So
if bishop takes, I'd probably just play G3 and then King G2 and then.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Very creative, actually. Yeah. So your idea is to go G3, then King G2, Rook H1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's certainly a try.
And whenever he plays F6, I'm playing knight takes on E6.
Yeah. Okay. Right. But I guess there's multiple ways for it to continue here. But I would prefer knight takes H4. But I do think that G3 is a nice move. But here's the thing, Alan. Right? I've seen so many players in your level just like random plays moves. So previously, you played Rook C8. Now, good move. Really nothing wrong with the move. I mean, you're probably scared of H5, but then you can go G5. See, this is not like the thing I want to say here is that if you have a plan, just play the plan, right? Just go with your original plan because Bishop H4 here only helps white. All right. Because after knight takes G5, it does look like you're winning the piece back, but what's the point of sacrifice? You're exposing your king side, right? This is not because it's white's plan to attack on the king side, and now you're helping him do it. So I would just say that.
Continue there.
Yep.
Can you play knight G6?
Which knight? Like
knight H6?
Knight H6? Okay. Yeah, I do think so. For example, if I take on F4.
Do we take the rook? There's some spice to this.
Yeah, open exchange, but d4 pawn is dropping off. Pops, possibly. So, like, for example, knight takes, what, bishop F4? Or maybe, yeah, I think you have to play it, right? Because now...
Okay.
Because d4 pawn is looking lost anyways.
I was looking at queen G4. I don't know if it works.
Queen G4, wow. What a move. Okay, so the idea is... What's the idea?
Maybe after knight takes, we play bishop takes on F4.
All right.
Oh, but we're talking another exchange.
Yeah, watch out. If you're not,
bishop H6,
then G6.
Knight G6.
And then it depends, and there's no F4.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, even if F4, it's not desirable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bishop takes F4 gotta be wrong. After that.
But knight G6 is very creative. But I just think that but let's think about this. Takes, no, takes, knight takes here, bishop F4, knight takes D4. I definitely think that black has some sort of compensation, but I do think that white's still better. Like after something like rook c1, you just down exchange. But again, it's definitely playable for white, especially considering that the bishop is more or less garbage.
I always like to create imbalances, so
yeah. But I think that white's definitely preferable here. All right, so I guess knight g6. With that being said, is a move. Your idea after f6 is just what, knight e6 or knight. I mean, both these moves are good, right?
Knight takes on g6 because I want to bring my queen towards the king side later on.
Yeah, fair enough. Decent. Okay. So I guess knight g6 is a move. But our point being is that Alan okay, let's hear your comments. In general, take with the f pawn, and when do you take with the h pawn? All right.
How long ago was that? 2 minutes ago?
That's 10:09. Yeah, that's actually a few minutes ago. So before we go, let's answer Alan's question. Okay, so the plan was to get the black d pawn. That is why I played rook c8 first, so I can attack the f2 pawn later in the game. Okay, we got it. All right. Okay, so let's go to your first question, Alan. So you asked, when do you take with the h pawn and when do you take with the f pawn? So generally, in like the lightning pawn structure, we call this like a lightning kind of a thing. Really depends. But if you're certain that white will attack on the king side, you play f6, g6. All right. It looks like it's posting the f file, but it's actually building a very strong base. You have now 3 big fat pawns right in front of your king, and the follow plan should be rook c8, knight f8. So for example, h3, rook here, knight f4, knight f8, and you have to really understand how difficult it is for white to continue the attack. There's really no way. Like, you can put a knight on g5, then we're going to chop it off and play h6, king h7. Like, all these moves are coming in. It's super easy defense and gives you a lot of time to attack on the queen side. So, in my opinion, that's when you take with the f pawn. So, Adam, generally, when do you take with the h pawn?
In the London system setups, most of the time you take with the h pawn because you don't want to expose the. You don't want to make e6 weak, right? Whatever you want e6 to be strong so that you have your central pawns solidified. You want to keep the f pawn and take with the h pawn. Yes,
yeah, that is one of the ideas. So I don't know if you guys remember. So if we go back to the start, right? Let's look at an example. So if usually d4, I'm sure you guys have seen something like this. e6, this, bishop g3. Now when black takes, you don't take with the f pawn, you take with the h pawn.
Well, okay, but go into a variation where white castles first. So don't take yet.
So
play
here,
natural moves.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, castles. Yeah.
c5 castles.
Yeah, now takes, and then you take with the h pawn. That's the usual idea over here. Over here, you're usually supposed to take with the h pawn, not the f pawn.
Yeah.
Then e3 will be weak if you take with the f pawn.
Yes. Yeah. So after f takes, as Adam said, the e3 pawn is somewhat weak. Although you have the f file, that's a perk, but h takes g3 is generally considered the more natural move of preserve your pawn structures and everything.
And also, from opening theory standpoint, like I play this setup as black against the London system. What I like about it is that I wait for white to get castled, and then I take on g3, because after he takes back, h takes on g3, he doesn't have. It's harder for him to use the open h file to attack my king side.
Yes, perfect. With that being said, right, so this position, black was slightly tired and didn't really have energy, and he played the move g3. Now he takes, and guess what? Boom, boom. And if black dilly-dallies with moves like knight d7, then you go g4, or something of the sort, right? And g5 is coming, bam, bam, you're getting absolutely destroyed and abused on the king side. So I guess that's a case where you take with the h pawn, but again, it really depends. If you do want to stay on the safer side when you're getting attacked, take with the f pawn. If you do want to keep your structures and use your rook, take with the h pawn. But again, it's really hard to give a specific answer, so it really depends on what happens on the board. Okay, so I hope that answered your question, Alan. Okay, let's go back to your second question. The plan was take with the d pawn. That is why I played rook c8 first. So I think what he's trying to say is, if we go somewhere here, knight d2, queen b6, takes, h4, rook c8. So yeah, what Alan wanted is to use the rook and trying to do this, which is understandable. All right, as long as you have a plan in mind, I'm okay with it. But again, generally rook c is the move. But all right, it's different this time. Okay, so knight f4. But back to this move. This move is I can't find good things to say about this move, Alan, because you're really helping your opponent opening up your king side. It's like I'm trying to break into your house, and you're like, hey, come in. Like, just you're opening the door for me. Don't. Just close the door, work on the queen side, create threats, right? Don't get distracted by your opponent, all right? So, again, especially after g5, knight e6, and your whole entire king side is, like, collapsing. Takes, bishop g5, knight d4, knight g6. You saw how quickly you got mated over here. It's not like, oh, there's really no that fast counterplay, right? So, well, it's going to be mate in a second, and which you did hung it. Yeah, it's mate. So, essentially, I think your decisive mistake was bishop takes h4. I guess you're scared of h5, but come on, create threats on your own. The best way to defend is by attacking. Like, imagine we're in a boxing fight, Alan, and I keep punching you, and you keep on defending. That's not going to stop me from attacking you. What you need to do is fight back. If you fight back, that will make me defend, which will give you the initiative. So instead of playing bishop h4, go knight b4. Just create threats.
You reminded me of something interesting. There are some situations, especially with black, where white's attacking on the king side, and black's main plan is to play on the queen side regardless. The best example is the King's Indian attack versus the French, right?
Yes, exactly.
If you keep on trying to do stuff on the king side, you're going to get in trouble. Understand from a human perspective, playing on the queen side when you're being attacked on the king side is hard to do, but the thing is, in some cases, you just have to go for it.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so no comments. All right, so again, the idea is, Alan, that in this position, white has a natural advantage on the king side with being these two pawns, and white has more space, more pieces, more everything. So the bottom line is, no matter how hard you defend, you're eventually gonna expose some weaknesses, which white will eventually get through. Like, you can't stop knight g5, you can't stop h5. All of these moves are free flow, which means that you're pretty much screwed. So the best thing you can do right now is to create counterattack. Maybe when you play knight g4, Jack will get scared and be like, oh, sure, I'm getting forward. Let's play rook e2 in defense. Which then continue to attack by playing something like queen a6 or queen b5. the idea is to go to d3, knight d3. Actually, never mind. It's covering it. Oops.
Wait,
But-
wait. Does queen b5 also allow for knight b6? Knight b6, knight c4 for black. Black knight b6, knight c4.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I feel like this is kind of slow. You need something that's faster. So what could be an idea here? Maybe already worse, but I guess the bottom line is just trying to create counter chances on the queen side. Okay, but yeah, this position again is probably worse, but bishop h4 is not really gonna help. So, but okay, so yeah, knight d4. There is an interesting line if I think knight takes e5, or even this knight takes e5. The idea is to use the pin and stop knight g6 from white. If takes, you have queen f2. Again, I have no clue if this works, but
wait, what's the material? Let's see the material difference. Is it +2 for white?
Yes, white's having 2 points.
Okay, after here, how does black continue?
I mean, there's rook c2, which doesn't do anything, but maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it just doesn't. But I don't know if you ever saw that during the game. But okay, let's remove the comments. Thank you. And then at least try to consider the move. I mean, probably doesn't work, but all right. So I guess at this point it's already pretty toast. But you do have the move queen takes d4. Just trying to create queens. But I guess the same problem, queen h5. Or no, but then f2 is hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, never mind. Why didn't you play queen d4 here, Alan? Like, you're attacking that, and then what can I do here?
Knight f3, I guess.
Well, that's trading the queens off. I mean, at least. I guess.
Wait, you have to take with the other rook.
Other rook?
Because you have to keep the pawn on e5 guarded.
Okay, right. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but come on, black is better here. I mean,
the material's equal here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, black has a better endgame here.
Like, all of these things, knight c5, knight e4, knight b4, rook c2, knight a5, knight c4, it's too active. Like, this is a strong center.
The rooks have, like, strong open files, so...
Yeah, interesting idea. But all right. So, that could be a problem. All right. Okay, so now, 96. Yeah, I guess your decisive mistake. But, again, queen d4 probably saved the game for you. I mean, it's
good.
Can white sacrifice the f2 pawn, like queen h5? Just going straight for knight
h6? All right, try it.
I mean, the least you can do is knight takes e5, and you're having fun. But, like, knight takes e5, that stops everything, I think. Queen f2 is still a threat. So maybe if you take first, right? King h1 for, let's say, then knight takes e5. Covers here, and I think white is completely lost here. Yeah, he's 2 pawns down, and no attack, right? That covers everything. So I guess it's a move, but maybe it's not the best. But even here, like, instead of bishop g5, there's knight g6. So just not caring about the pawn and going straight for queen h5. You can always take the pawn back whenever you want. So okay, let's try to get this analysis straight, right? So after bishop h4, I think knight takes h4 is the move, but also g3. But g3, let's take a look. Bishop e7 and king g2. So this was your idea, Adam.
Yeah.
And your idea was to go rook h1, right?
Yeah.
So rook h1, then what?
Now there is a bit of a problem with this plan, and the problem is that our knight on f3 is kind of stuck on f3. We want to move it because we want to bring our queen towards the king side. But
Adam, have you seen this plan? Rook h1, queen g1, queen h2.
Okay, that's also I think that's
that?
where to go.
That's cool, right?
Let's try it.
But okay, so it's black's move, so black has to do something.
Well, as soon as you move the f pawn, you just take on g6.
I mean, both pawns hang, so I don't think f6 would be a sufficient defense, right? So can g5 do it? I guess the idea of g5 is to go g6 and g7, but I don't think this is ridiculous.
Knight h5.
G6 possibly, and just chill.
Is knight? Oh yeah.
But then knight g5. Come on, how's black surviving here? No, but even
knight g5.
The idea is take queen h5.
Okay, he doesn't
and just made him
take. He can take the knight first. Take on g5.
Yep,
maybe?
take 6. I don't think taking will survive really, because now.
Okay, then what about queen takes d5?
Yeah. Okay, that's this.
Yeah.
Okay, that could be an issue actually. Yeah. No, but it's not over yet. Knight f6. We have mate on h1 soon. So like take.
We're not on time. Okay.
I don't think black's arriving. Like takes. Rook h1's coming. It's gonna be mate. Yeah. Black's kind of cooked. Okay. Well, so I guess the idea is interesting, but
this requires time to think about.
no, we don't take. I can play like queen d4. But yeah, this can like I guess we can analyze for a lot here. Position is not simple at all. But yeah, so queen d4 right now could be a move. Trade queens. But regardless, I think g3 is an interesting idea. But that doesn't change the fact that bishop takes h4 is a pretty disastrous move, right? So after knight takes, g5, knight e6. You got
just knight d6 would have been better.
Yeah, but even here, it's not completely over yet. Queen takes d4, and that could have made things a whole lot hard for your opponent, especially you're trading queens and attacking f2. So I don't know what you're really calculating, but knight d4 is the decisive mistake, and I think after this you're just losing. Yeah, knight d2, and that's mate. All right, so that concludes this game. So just to summarize a few things, right? So number one in the opening stage, around here.
So taking the pawn is kind of
yeah. Please take a pawn on e4. All right, so just give your opponent an isolated queen pawn. Don't think twice about it. It's usually much better for black. And number two is here that if after bishop g6, if you can play f takes, if you cannot play h takes, all right. But you do want to be careful about white's attack. And if you have a plan on the queen side, play the plan. Don't get distracted by white's moves. All right, so that's that. All right, so Adam, if you want to add anything, you can. I'll be right back.
All right. Oh, you go back. Okay. Okay. All right, game.
For the second game, if you can, I'm gonna ask for a extended checkout.
All right, yeah, sure. All right, so d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, c3. Okay, I don't know why c3 instead of c4. It's very passive. Bishop f5, bishop f4, c6, e3. Okay. All right, knight b to d2. You're not allowing yourself to play bishop d3 anymore. All right, bishop g3, bishop c7. I don't get the idea of bishop c7 exactly. Like the bishop on d6 is already good. Why do you want to move your bishop back to d7? Like your queen is not coming in front of the bishop. You know, our bishop is staying on g3. So I think bishop g7 is inaccurate. Bishop e2, b to d7, castles. This is fine. Takes. All right, this is fine. Rook e1. I mean, rook e1 looks very slow. You have to play rook e1, maybe then bishop f1, and then push e4. But I don't think white wants to open the e file in this kind of position because over here, black has stronger control of the center. That's the reason why I think it's because you were playing passive moves like bishop e2 instead of bishop d3, you know, fighting for the center. You're just kind of tucking all your pieces in. Okay. Takes with the f-pawn. This looks Londonish, so I would choose to take with the h-pawn to consolidate and keep the center. But he plays f-takes, which means that he wants to attack with the f-file, right? So that's what Holden plays, rook e1, e5. Okay, so in both of these games, like these players are not taking back on e5. Usually when we get a pawn break like that, we just got to take back because if black pushes e4, black is the one who is going to be like controlling the center. Space is very important in chess. In this move, when you have like all these central pawns, like a triangle or beyond, controlling in white, and then black plays e5, or sorry, e4, you're going to run into a lot of trouble. In the previous game, we saw white do that. He played e5, and then he had the space, and now we're seeing black do it. So knight d2, knight b6. Okay. Knight b6. The thing is, so black is looking at the king side. I'm analyzing this game from both players' perspective. Let me see if there's any comments. Counterplay allowed him to play e4. All right, let's go back. What counterplay is it exactly, though? Like, what is the counterplay plan? Because White's counterplay seems kind of slim over here when the bishop is on e2, the queen is not really active. I think Black has a better position here. Like, I don't see the counterplay. All right, so we reached this position, right?
Yeah.
And Alan is saying,
What is Alan saying?
he's saying that this position he has counterplay as White over here.
As White. All
right? He says eventually I'll have c4 and a pawn storm on the queen side.
Yeah. It's slow.
Okay, so he wants so it's interesting. In this game, he wants to counterattack on the queen side, but in this position, right, I think it's harder to do that. You want to take this chair? Yeah.
So Adam told me that your comment was counterplay limits. So the plan was to get blah blah blah. True, I have counterplay, that's why I allow him to play e4. Eventually I have c4 and a pawn over on the queen side. That is 100% true. Are you 100% true? But here's the thing, all right? So the good thing is that
I'm showing in the camera.
Yeah. Yo.
Yeah, okay. Yo.
Yes. Okay. Anyways, so I guess you're right in some sense, especially considering you have the light square bishop, which kind of covers so many important squares, at least now. But Black does have some ideas on the king side. So here actually will be a case of difference. I think now would be a nice time to take with the h pawn.
I mentioned that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So that's proof that.
Yeah. So because now what's gonna happen is if you want to play e5, play it. So because after f takes, then you go e5, you're kind of creating this. I mean, your opponent's kind of creating this massive, weird pawn block, and it doesn't really function since the f file doesn't really help, right? Because if e1 can play f4 now, which completely eradicates all his counterplay, and you can activate the bishop by playing bishop h4 and so on. But I guess all in all, here h6, g6 would be better consideration because that's first. So White has no attack on the king side, and it keeps the structure nice and tight for Black.
And the reason why he doesn't have the attack on the king side is because when he played e4, his knight had to move back to d2, and now his knight is sad. Right?
Yeah. So true. I guess that Black doesn't have any attack. Yeah, I think Alan, you're right.
Black doesn't have an attack, but Black has a better position though. Right?
He does? Adam.
Space.
Oh, space.
Like, well, what are white pieces doing? They're just, like, sitting back, so sad.
Have you ever heard this, Adam? The side with more space is supposed to trade less pieces.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, as
now
Black, I wouldn't trade.
Two pairs are already gone, right? But here's the thing. The reason I think White is preferable because I can't really find a successful plan for Black.
What is the plan for White, though? What's White's plan, though?
Well, as Alan said, c4, rook c1, queen b3. Just knight b1, knight c3. So, okay, so c4 would be the move. Knight b6. Yep, c4 would be my move here.
And, knight b6 is weird, though.
Yeah, I don't like knight b6. But, Alan, as much as I'd compliment you for the past 5 seconds, I don't like c5. I don't like c5. It's just the move that's...
You want to keep pressure on the queen side.
Yeah, it's way too slow. Like, b4, b5, it's obviously a very nice plan, but honestly, let's go back here. Not sure what you could have done, but maybe something like queen b3, or even if you try knight b1. Like knight b1 is often a nice maneuver. Go to c3, attack on d5, queen b3, rook c1. I guess Black does have some sort of attack, so maybe you could be careful. But c5 doesn't. It's kind of
You're relieving the pressure. You want to keep the pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's pawn breaks that are prepared. You want to keep the pressure instead of quickly creating a closed position. I learned that from playing against Leela.
Yeah, but I guess what essentially happened is your opponent was aimlessly wandering around his pieces with moves like knight b6, knight d7. He hung around the queen for a few moves.
And bishop c7 was the beginning of the game was very weird from Black's perspective.
Yeah, I don't like bishop c7. Like, it's not... it feels like a move I would play when I was a kid. Let's drop the bishop back, win a move. But no, it's really not necessary. All right, so a takes b5. All right, but you played this part perfectly. I do love bishop f1. I guess your piece is trapped, but bishop f1 is such a creative attempt. All right, so.
But wait. I think we skipped through a lot of stuff quickly. Let's go back.
Yeah. All right. So we did.
Okay. From.
Let's go back to here.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. B4.
Mm-hmm.
B6. Then queen A4. All right. Ellen, because now I look at it, hold on. If we go back, I think actually, you know what? Now would be a nice moment to take with the F pawn. That's what I'm thinking now, because after H takes, your F pawn is only a target. So why not just get rid of it and just take the F file and just chill with queen B3?
We can wait. If he takes the F pawn, can black play H5? Pawn H5?
Yeah, but like, what's the idea here? I can let you play one move. Like, I can play like A3. See that? See the problem, Adam? Like, this is all these are light square pawns. This is a target. I don't know how you get there, but it's a target. Like bishop D1, bishop B3.
Okay. So when black takes, if black recaptures F takes on G6, then playing H5 is harder because
yeah,
pawn on G6 is off.
You have no support. Like, what are all these pieces doing? So okay, let's try to rewire the thoughts, Alan. So what happened was, first of all, your opponent took with the F pawn, which from my perspective thinks that he is trying to give an attack on the king side, which he doesn't really have that much of an attack, but you still have to watch out, right? So, but okay, rook e1 is a move that's, I don't like rook e1. Your rook is doing a great job protecting the pawn on f2, but rook e1 would make sense if you're trying to go knight f1. That's, I guess, the only situation where it makes sense.
Let's check the chat and see if it's saying anything.
Oh wow, camera looks much better. Okay, so eventually,
I don't think we need a chat anymore.
Okay, yeah, camera looks good, which is nice. Oh, Alan, you exist. Hi.
I exist.
Wait, can you say something? Can we like unmute you?
Can you hear me?
Wait.
Do you have your sound?
Can you guys hear me?
Okay, now we can. Now we can. Oh, you're live.
Okay, now we hear you. Good.
Okay, Alan. Oh, you're back. Let's go. This is gonna make it much easier because you're actually online. But you understand our point, right? So you have to be careful on the king side. All right. So, what was your idea after rook e1? What was your plan after this move?
So eventually I was going to bring the bishop either to f1 or f3 and eventually push on e4 and then try to open up the center. But then after he went e5 first, that's when I decided to do what I did in the game by provoking him knight f3 to go back to allow him to take the center so then I can make the break on the queen side.
Ah, I see. Okay. So I have to admit, that is a very creative idea. Not many kids can come up with this provoking move. But here's the thing, Alan, right? I don't think you need to provoke him that much. Because if you want to play e4, play e4. Like, if I'm being absolutely honest, you can try e4 now. It's a move. There's a rule when you have two bishops, trying to open up position as much as possible. I mean, you can argue it's a bit immature to go e4 now, but you can make useful moves like queen b3 or even rook c1, just getting ready to play c4, right? In that case, if he doesn't play the move e4, well, you're chilling.
Okay, so you mentioned the important point. So when you have a bishop pair, you want to open up the position more. If you're playing with the bishop pair and then you purposely let him close the position, then your bishops are going to be sad, and that's where the knights are more powerful.
Yeah, good job. Good point. So, but with that being said, I don't think knight f3 is a terrible move. Now you're seeing your idea. I actually think knight f3 is a pretty creative move. All right, so knight d2. But here's when things goes a little bit offside. So knight b6, I definitely don't enjoy this move. The knight doesn't belong on b6. Now, if you take a look, the knight's actually pretty trash for a few reasons. If you put a pawn in front of knight 2 squares, it restricts the knight. So like this, d4 pawn. See that? Knight's kind of off. Same concept. Pawn on d5. Your knight's trash. So there's few ways to maneuver. Now, the one I prefer is go rook f7, or in rook e8 and knight f8, knight e6.
The reason why black's plans are so bad here is because the bishop on c7. He can't play bishop d6, and he can't play bishop d6 because his knight on d7 is blocking. If his bishop was on d6 and his queen was on c7, then he played knight b to d7. That would be a better setup, right?
Yes.
Now his queen is kind of like boxed in. It's harder for his queen to get active because then his bishop will get captured.
Yeah, exactly. So now the whole problem is this kind of cluster of pieces is just off-placed. It's not the greatest placement. But okay, I would definitely rook f7, maneuver the knights, possibly trade the bishops, and just play from there. But knight b6 is, I guess, off-centered. It's not a move that's, it's that useful. Okay, c4 is played, which is nice, takes. So this is a moment, Alan, that I recommend taking with the f-pawn. because you clearly know that black has an attack in the future on the f2 pawn. Just get rid of it. Play knight f1. So like Adam mentioned h5. You play knight f1. Like it's maybe you go something like rook c1 or queen b3. But the idea is after knight f1, you're covering this entire area, right? There's really no way for black to continue.
You know, it's funny. Both of these games were like repeating the same ideas, like knight f1, knight f8. It's like kind of like a reverse.
Yeah, exactly. But Alan, if you want, you can also play rook f1, which is a nice move. Also, just immediately competing for the f file, right? You see that, and now just queen b3, c5.
It's like
coming.
it's the only semi-open file. So
yeah. Now you can play c5 because you're not in a rush, right? Compared to here, after h takes, you played c5.
You're in a rush to keep pressure because because there's no open files, so that's why you want to keep the pressure on the queen side instead of pushing c5. There's no open files. White has no open files, so you want to keep more pressure on the queen side instead of just closing it all down.
Yeah, exactly. So, one point being is that black is the only one with attacking possibilities right now, currently. I definitely agree that you have b4, b5, but it's going to take 2 moves. And black can do a lot of things in 2 moves, right? So, I guess 97 is a move here. And after what you played b4, let's try to think about this. Like, what could black do to create some counter chances? First of all, I do like rook f7, trying to stack, possibly like going down that way.
Yeah.
But also, since the g4 square is heavily guarded and that's still terrible, how do we make this work?
It's slow because we have a pawn on g6. The pawn on g6 prevents our knight from going to g6 on time. So I was thinking about moving the knight from d7 to f8 to g6, but we have the pawn on g6.
We can only do so much. We can't move both pieces too. If we want to double stack, then we can't maneuver my knight there. It's a world paradox.
This might be now. I'm looking at it longer. I think it's playable for white because black's pieces are badly placed.
Look at this move, 98.
98.
Okay, make a move.
Okay.
A4.
Okay. Rook f6.
Let's go with b5.
Yep, knight c7.
The
idea is to put my rook on f6, which guards that. Knight on c7, go to e6, and rook on f8.
Okay, so we also have to look at white's pieces, how they're misplaced. I think in this game, what's interesting about it is that both pieces on both sides are a bit misplaced, and but we have to figure out which one is more misplaced.
Damn, I'm such a talent. I changed this position in 2 seconds. Okay, yeah. But honestly, now it's a bit different because now, where's your attack, Alan? Tell me, where's your attack? I mean, it still exists, but it's so much weaker now considering that.
Yeah.
Rook p1 actually, yeah, you're going to b7, which is going to be an idea.
Rook e1, queen b3.
Queen b3, okay. No, but queen b3 or rook b8.
Yeah, rook b8.
No, I'm saying rook b1 and then maybe bring the rook to, I don't know, b7 or something, then queen b3.
Fair enough. Okay, good point. So
what happens after rook a f8?
Yeah, rook b7.
Rook f1.
Rook f1, okay.
Then he's probably gonna go something like queen f7.
Queen f7?
Queen f7 might not.
I didn't think about that move.
What does queen f7 do though?
The problem with this is rook b7 now. Like Alan, you have to try to get in the habit of when you're under attack, your first instinct should be obviously defense, but the next thing should be, can I counterattack? Or can I just...
There's a counterattack.
Yeah, can I stop the attack? Yeah. I mean, by just attacking. Because defending is never a permanent answer.
Danger levels.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Danger levels. Boom. Knight e6, which is a move that, but then bishop g4. You see how you can just crisscross applesauce them? And it's not simple now, because after rook f2, I believe you have to move... Actually, might work. Hold on.
What about h? I was going to say h5 over there.
Ooh.
h5?
Yeah.
Good move. But just take, probably. No? But if I want to keep tension with bishop h3.
Wait, play bishop h3. What about g4?
g5?
g5, yeah.
But then I take.
And then?
Actually, screw that.
Takes.
I have an idea. I have no clue this works. Knight takes e4. Takes d5.
Takes d5.
It's probably ridiculous. Knight c5. Probably, but it's such an idea. c6.
This is a bullet idea.
Yeah, it's a bullet idea. It probably doesn't work.
Okay.
It's too ridiculous. Okay. but I guess it's sort of hard for black to maneuver his pieces, but of course there's still very a lot of chances. But c5 is a style on its own. Again, I'm not saying the move is good or bad. I'm just saying that if you do want to play c5, you better make sure that in the short term, black cannot crush on the king side. Otherwise, you want to take the pawn and keep an open file for yourself, just in case of emergencies. You can like trade queens, queen c7, right? So that's a way for fast, but yet kind of like weak counterplay. But it's going to guarantee that you're not going to get destroyed on the king side. c5 is a move, but you better make sure that your king is safe. With that being said, back here, f takes g3. After this move, you can do whatever you want. Like c5, you're perfectly justifiable move, as black has 0 counterplay on the king side, right? Because you have rook f1 coming. You're sharing the open file. There's no way for black to succeed. But this is a case where you take with the f pawn. But Alan, don't get too hung up which pawn to take with. If you do see in the future games, just take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just think about it.
Finding the ideas after you take with the certain pawn is what matters more than
spending
all your time tanking on which pawn to take back with.
Yeah, exactly. So what could help you is if you're really struggling with like logical reasoning, try to think concretely. So it'd be like, after f takes g3, what specific moves can my opponent play to, to take advantage of my e3 pawn or the weak f file, right? If I take with the h pawn, however, what happened then? Like queen d7, h5.
Don't get fixated on like, oh, which one is objectively good. Use more of your time on like, all right, I'm gonna do spend time obviously, but don't spend like more than like 15 minutes trying to figure out which pawn to take back with. After you take back with that pawn, try to create a plan.
Yeah,
even if it's not the computer doesn't like it, don't think, oh well, the computer say, just play it and like be practical about it.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Yeah, just do it depends on the game. All right. But I guess after this is gonna be a free flow. Queen a4. I think everything did is pretty logical here. There's really nothing much I want to say about it. After a4, a6. Adam, do you want to add anything in between those moves?
Okay, no. Here's just close position. So it's
yeah. See, this is what I don't understand. Your opponent was trying queen f7, queen e6. His moves are all over the place, right? He doesn't have shuffling. Like the only thing that's gonna happen if black waits is, you will build up a strong attack on the queen side. So either he concentrates his full force on defending, or he's trying to find a way to attack on the king side, which I don't see how. Right, but okay. So this, knight b3, nice move, knight a5, perfect. Take, knight b3 back. This part is played perfectly. I love the way he played it. Just shoving your piece forward and, yeah. Bishop takes b5, nice move. Again, it seems like you made a small mistake, but I think it's perfectly fine. I mean, at this point, mid-0 doesn't really matter since you have a strong knight on c5, pawn on b6. You have more than enough compensation, right? So, yeah, knight d7, knight c5. Here, I think actually be more beneficial if you take with a d pawn. Then you have b5. Really? Yeah. You have b5 coming. You're creating way more passed pawns. See that? And you're also having, like... The idea here is just create more passed pawns. That's your only chance, right? I mean, you're winning here, I think. But I guess dc5 has some benefits. I think both moves are okay, but I'll consider d takes c5, playing b5 next turn, just kind of opening everything up. But okay, bc5 perfectly fine. So queen f6, rook e2, nice, h5, rook d2. What is rook d2? Opening the bishop? I imagine that's...
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, sure. Yep. So... general idea being got this part nice is that, for example, if I just set this up something like this, so let's have a queen here. Let's just make some random moves. So general rule of thumb is that if you get hit with this, putting a bishop on g2 will most likely stop all the mate threats. Like, he can give a check, but that's going to be it. All right, he has queen takes g3, which is special, but usually black doesn't have queen takes g3 here because the rook is usually not open on the f-file. But usually that's going to be it for black's attack. There's no queen h1. Everything is safe. So bishop g2 successfully eradicates all black's attack on the king side. So that's just a little fun fact to remember. Bishop g2, your king is safe. Right, so if we go back, again, bishop g2, nice. And then, yeah, this part just winning. Yep. And then c6, c7. So I would imagine this is a much nicely flowed game. There might be a few things here and there, but generally it's a pretty good game.
All right, yeah.
Interesting. All right,
that's good enough for that game.
Yep. Okay. The last game is interesting.
I'm gonna leave the stream. I have to go rest up, and then I'm gonna go start the tournament soon.
Okay.
Wait, should we save the third game for another time or something?
Yeah, we'll say the third
Wait,
game. I do want
up
to
to you
watch.
guys. You wanna call it?
Yeah, we'll call it.
Actually, know what? Let's do the third. Let's do the third game, but
We'll do it
skip
quick.
to move 20.
You want to check the end game? Is that what you want? Okay. The end game is interesting.
But as soon as we trade rooks, so go back to as soon as we trade rooks. Yeah. Right. From here we can start the analysis because I feel like Ryan's strategy, because first game that we played, the boring game, we didn't get to an end game. We agreed to a draw in the middle game. Nothing happened. Both of us played 95% accuracy. So this time around, we traded everything right away. I feel like that's what he was going for because he wanted to see what would happen in an end game scenario. So there we go. He got his wish. Let's see what happens.
Well, first of all, I want to make a point that the game is drawn. If I check the engine, it is drawn here. I mean, white's better, but essentially,
if I didn't see the engine, I would have thought black had the edge, but I think it's probably because of the stack pawns or something.
I think it's because of this. I think you're kind of correlated by this. Yeah.
I mean, Adam.
Yeah.
Every time I play, I always think I have an edge, but then I look at the engine and brought to reality.
Yeah. It's quite a common thing. But objectively, I do think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'm actually wrong a slight bit, but I do think in practice, it's a 3-result game. Like anything can happen, especially at your level. But I think objectively, the game should be drawn. It's too symmetrical. It's two bishops. Although white has a bad bishop, this pawn structure is just not. It doesn't really help in creating pass pawns, right? It's if you want to win some pawns. So the idea here being is that if I take off white's a2 pawn, you cannot make a pass on the queen side without the help of your pieces. It's really not. It's gonna be hard. So the problem with all the double pawns is that you're lacking the opportunity for pawn pushes, for pawn breaks, right? Compared to white, he can play f4. He can play moves like h3, g4. Like all these options are totally available, but also very point your h-pawn super weak. In the event of a king opponent game, so if we take all these pieces off, your opponent's king can just rush to h5 and create some sort of problems. It's so I guess that's why computer gave the evaluation of plus 0.4.
But then in that situation, couldn't it just rush to a3?
You can, yeah, it's definitely. But in this case, it would be more of a race, right? So, but it's not. It's not that simple because when you can get to some, say something like d6, I'm gonna play b4 and just cut you off. See that, Alan? If you go c5, play b5. You can never get to the center. If you look, so king e7, king d6, I play b4, assuming that all the pieces are off.
And we have to have our c4 pawn guarded, obviously.
Yep. If he goes b5, we go c5 check. So just picture that. That's the problem with double pawns. You're kind of lacking pawn storms opportunities. You're kind of lacking a lot of those. So, but anyways, let's see what happens. Knight c1 against pawn significant f4, nice. Knight f8, f5. So you're now getting clearly pushed back, and I do think that white is having a clear edge. So this is the moment I think it's very appropriate to go for the h pawn. King f2. How would you ever defend this pawn, Alan? How do you defend this pawn? Like if I play king f2 right now, which is opponent did, 97, king f. I don't like b4. Actually, you know what? Sure. Maybe it's too slow. Okay, let's play king f3 now. King e7.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, never mind. Just in time. Yeah, you're actually fine. Never mind. But I guess the idea here is that black gets the king to g7 in time. But okay. So I guess you're still within the drawing range. So b5, c5. Okay, I prefer takes here. Get yourself a weakness. Take. Bishop f1. Drop it back. Attack that pawn. But okay, c5 is a move. King e7, king f3, b6, king g4. Okay, king f8, king h5, takes, knight e2. Bishop b7. White needs take.
Yeah.
Alan?
He would take. In the game he didn't take, but I'd go. Where would I go? I'd go knight e3.
Yep. Then like something like bishop f3. Yep.
Knight c2.
Knight c2. Oh, you're reading this pawn.
Then I create a pass pawn.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yep. Okay. Perfect. I guess that validates your idea. But let's go back here. Yeah. The game is sort of drawn because you can't. It's hard for white to make any progress. You know, because after this, yeah, I have 2 knight c4. But his king is seriously in some serious trouble here. So, hmm. Yeah, tough. I like knight b2, knight g3 ideas. No, but that's like what happens. So that's h4, knight a3, knight e3.
H4 is H4 bad move?
From the fact that he's playing g5, probably not. Yeah, he's going g5, so it's different.
Okay.
But yeah, king g4, king f3. I mean, I actually think now you're better, Alan. I didn't get the notation here for the rest. So what happened here? Do you remember? After king g5.
You couldn't read the notation after?
Well, there's no notation, I don't think. That was it for the notation.
Oh, that was it? Oh, we agreed to a draw here then.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, I think it played on the king g3.
Yeah, there's still play here.
Yeah, still playing.
Especially this level.
Yeah. But
I was at 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Fair enough. But alright, I do think you could have played on for a little bit.
Nah.
Maybe it's drawn, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's your choice. Okay, anyways.
Check the engine, is it drawn? It should be like 0.
Hmm?
Hey, Brian, go back to the end. Go to the end. Where we agreed.
Like here.
Can you turn the engine on? I want to see what the evaluation is.
Oh.
Oh, seriously? Whoa.
Well, king g3, king g4 actually, being king g3, king g4. But I didn't think it's that big an advantage. Knight a4, it's -3. Knight
Did I
a1.
throw it? Honestly.
Okay.
Did I bottle it?
Well, let's go. How does black continue here?
What?
No, trust me, the engine will find a way. If it's -3, it's usually for a reason. King h4, okay, sure. King knight d1 check.
Just press space.
Okay, alright. Continue that. And you're eventually gonna win the a3 pawn. But I guess
why can't he bring the knight back to c2?
Knight c2.
I attacked the bishop. Oh.
Okay.
Well, okay, I don't think specific move matters, but here's the idea, Alan. This is, you know what a 2-result game means?
2-result game, no?
Okay, so the idea here is that the only person that can win the game is you. The only person. Why cannot win here? I mean, his pieces are way too passive. Look at your pawn structure. Look at this. So there's only 2 possible results here if you play normally. It's either it's a draw or you win. In this case, there is a strategy called cat and mouse, right? It's the strategy of you just circling around your pieces all over the board, and at some point you'll confuse your opponent and you find a chance.
Swindle.
Yeah, so it's a very high level of logic. It's what all top players use. It's just the idea of being unsportsmanlike. You play on infinitely and shove your pieces around because, again, you don't risk losing, so why not try? You just make random moves, trying to find chances, attack that.
Because I had 2 minutes left on the clock?
It doesn't matter. This is a perfect situation. You just make moves.
How much does your opponent have?
20.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, Alan. Just play. I
think it depends on what kind of time controls he's used to. If he's not used to blitz, if Alan's not used to blitz, then he might.
Well, yeah, maybe just practice more on that. But the idea here, Alan, is that
thing is, like, if I have 2 minutes left on the clock and I don't see a clear path to victory, then I don't see a reason to play on. Like, if I see like any sort of glimmer of a plan, then I would play on. But here it wasn't the case.
Let me ask you this question. Maybe I'll change your entire perspective. What is White's plan?
What is Black's plan?
Exactly. You don't know. If you don't know, there's a good chance that your opponent don't know anything. This is going to be both very confused. I bet that your opponent is just as confused as you are right now. If you look at me, I have no clue how to win as Black. I really don't. But what I do know is that I can play on it. Like, if you have if I would play on 1 second, just play knight b1, knight c3, go back, drop the bishops on, king around, just shuffle the pieces around. Again, maybe you'll confuse your opponent at some point. Okay, let's try this. Adam, if you let me use your chess.com, let's see if I can survive against the engine here. Well, let's go here.
All right.
So I'm gonna play against Stockfish in this position and see if I can survive.
Wait, I have a better idea.
Where's the
I have Leela's. I could set up Leela on chess base here.
Set it up.
So over here, engine. Let's change
I
main
paste
engine.
the FEN is there.
Yeah. All right, I'll paste it here.
Yeah. All right.
And then I'll make it play. So I'll do this, play.
Share screen.
And then I'll do this again. Here. Let's turn off the permanent brain so it doesn't waste all my energy here. And you're playing as whose turn is it?
It doesn't really matter at this point. Okay, let me share my screen. So, Alan, let me reshare the screen. What Adam set up for us is interesting thing.
Because Leela is kind of meant to trick. It'll find certain ideas that it might not be objectively good. Okay, let me see. Let me just make sure that the lead chess is not wasting power here. Engine's off. Let's turn this engine off. What's that noise?
Background music.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so wait, let's make a move then. So Alan, imagine you're playing
Wait, just out. You can't see the evaluation. Yeah.
Wait, let's just make a move. I don't know how you.
Okay, it's gonna take like 3 seconds. Let me see.
Yeah. Okay. Makes a move.
All right.
You want track. All right, so you just give random. Just makes random. The idea is you just chill, right? So now I have 2. I'm already dropping a pawn here. You see how that quick that one, Alan? I made one move where I lost. The idea is
what's the problem with what king e3? What happened? Oh, the bishop. Oh my god.
Well, let's try again then.
Let's try again.
Try again.
Maybe not bishop h1. There's some let's say knight.
Are we stuck in zoom wrong or something?
Let's go here. Hit e3. Let's go here. It's gonna take a draw. No way. Am I getting proved wrong?
Okay, no. Try Stockfish then.
It doesn't supposed to. I mean, I don't know why Stockfish can value to -3 if it's not. There's a rare case of fortresses, but
Stockfish. That's how 1 minute. So okay, what did you play? Play move. Hold control and do it. So yeah, override. Yeah.
Stockfish try. Wait, I dropped one. Oops.
Alright, let's go back.
That was my mistake. Alright, so I guess now you go like bishop h1. Just, So that's a problem. That is a problem.
I think we're stuck in a zugzwang or something.
Now we're lost. Where are we? Because now. Oh my freaking god.
Have either of you heard of Monte Carlo?
Monte Carlo? I'm not sure actually.
Yeah.
That's an opening, right?
But here's so the idea.
No, it's not a chess term. It's more of like a math and statistics term.
Oh, all right.
It's like
I think I've heard of it.
if you make 1,000 simulations of something and then average out to get a result. So that's what you guys are saying. Like you were able to get 1 draw but lose all the other times. So if you take like 1,000 simulations, average result would be wacko. And so I guess maybe that's your point validated.
Sort of. But this is the thing. You have to try on. Like you have 2 minutes. Think of it like this. Just make moves. All right. So how about if you really feel uncomfortable playing, I'm fine having a drop, but I do encourage you to try to play on. You know, because
Don't be like Levy. Don't be like Levy.
Yeah.
Play on.
Yeah, just because a lot of wins are gone from drawn positions. If like imagine I was white there, my opponent's a GM and he's 2, he'll play on. Like he will 100% play on because he know as much as I do that's a 2-result game and he can never lose that. He will keep shuffling his pieces until I make a mistake, right? Because there's really no, doesn't require any thinking time. You can just make moves, right? So the idea is just to try to win, just try, So yeah, I think that's my point being said.
Yeah, and even if you lose the game that you're supposed to draw, right? You at least learn something rather than just getting a draw.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you want to draw.
So, but Alan, if you really want to draw, I don't really, have anything to say about that. But again, if you do want to win, there's no risk of you trying, so why not? You can't go wrong with trying. Just think for 2 seconds, make a move. As long as you hang a piece, you're fine. All right, so that's my point being said. All right, you want to?
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That was good. We did good, right?
Yeah. Let's end on that.
Okay, Alan.
You guys,
So
you guys
that
want
being
to
said,
run it back? You guys want to run it back sometime?
right back.
Run it back sometime.
Run it back. Yeah, sure.
All right. In that case, I'm gonna give you guys a task live.
Now.
Since you guys are directing more, and I'm gonna move soon, you guys gotta get games from players. Like have players submit games to you, so you can do like a 20-minute, not as long as this, because these games are more complicated. But like simple games from like low-rated players. Get the games, put them in, and maybe just react to them live.
Sure. We react to them live, like in the office, right?
Sort of, yeah. We can.
Either in the office or at home.
Yeah, but at home we're gonna be like on our own. Like we want to do it somewhere together.
No, but look at this. Like we have one camera here, another camera here.
Okay. We could do like this. Yeah. Okay. We could do many cameras on. That could work, I guess.
All right.
Or
yeah.
Sure. We'll
All
try
right.
to. With that being said,
See you
Alan,
guys soon.
great job on the tournament, and I'll see you soon. All right.
See you
Thanks everyone
soon.
for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Summer camp. Join our summer camp. There's only 2 people watching, but summer camp. GM summer camp. You have just as much fun as you're playing chess. So, see you.